Last night, I was in the drive-thru at a local fast food restaurant for 15 minutes or so. I was behind 3 cars when I ordered. So it took them 15 minutes to get through 3 cars that were ahead of me that had already ordered. When I got to the window, they just handed me my food. It was no problem. I was pleased with that. But it made me sit there wondering, when did fast food stop being fast? When I was young, and it's been a while, McDonald's menu was like hamburger, cheeseburger, quarter pounder, Big Mac, filet of fish, French fries, shakes, pop, apple pie, cherry pie, and there was a breakfast menu, you know, hotcakes and sausage, orange juice. They had Danishes for a time back then. But I mean, there were like 12 things on the menu. So it was pretty simple I should take that back. I assume it was simpler working in the kitchen. There were simply less things to keep track of at any given time. Same thing goes for people coming to the drive-thru and wanting to order food. There were just less choices, so you could make your choices faster. Or you could have your choice made before you got there because you already knew the menu. It was small. Now, since then, in the 40 years or more since what I'm talking about, menus have grown a lot. Prices have gone up a lot, which is kind of unrelated to this. And service has slowed down. I can remember, even in my teens when I started driving, if you went through the drive-thru at McDonald's and you waited more than a couple of minutes, when you got to the window to pay or to pick up your food, the employee apologized for your wait. Sorry about the holdup, this or that happened. They, didn't really have to explain, but they acknowledged it, they apologized, and often threw in something free as a consolation prize, as an apology for you waiting, because it was understood the goal was fast food. It's in the name of the entire industry. Granted, even the slowest fast food is usually faster than going home and cooking. So they haven't completely lost it. I get it. But they've really taken speed and fast out of the entire industry. And then, on top of that, kind of to make it worse, employees don't act like they care, which I don't think they do. I admit, again, I did not work in fast food in my teen years, my 20s. That's not something I did. I can appreciate that it is not a simple business. There are skills, and especially the people skills, that you need to be a customer-facing position. At the drive-thru window, taking orders, at the counter, taking orders, handing over food. I think that has only gotten harder as time has gone on because customers have stopped being polite at all. There are polite people, but you hear so many stories of rude customers. Unfortunately, we also hear about rude employees, but I think more than that is the ones who just don't really care one way or the other. They're just there to work, get a paycheck, and leave. There are a lot of arguments to this that can be made about, well, it's because they don't get paid enough to care. I don't buy that. They may not get paid enough. But everybody gets paid enough to care about their customer. You may not care about your employer. You may not care about the job, but you should always care about the customer that you are facing. It's not their fault you're unhappy with your pay, with your job, with your boss. We need to be able to separate those things. I can vividly remember 4 years ago, probably, my wife and I were in the drive-thru at another local fast food restaurant. We got up to the menu board where the microphone is, the speaker, to be able to order, and we sat there. The car ahead of us had already pulled up, so they weren't holding us up. They weren't taking their order. And we sat there for a couple minutes. No acknowledgement we were waiting. So I turned to the speaker and I just said, "Hello?" And immediately somebody responded and goes, "Oh, yeah. What do you want?" Not, "May I take your order?" or anything. They just kind of were like, "Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing my job. What do you want?" We ordered our food. They told us, "Pull up." And we did. And again, we were in line for a long time. It probably took 20 minutes to get up to at least get our food. But we got to the first window where you pay. And the employee, a young high school aged guy, took our money. Not courteous, not polite, just very business. Just, "Yeah, here's your total." "Okay, here you go. Here's your receipt." And he closed the window and leaned on the counter and looked at his cell phone. I don't know what he was doing on it. It doesn't matter. From where we were sitting, the line was moving incredibly slow. And this restaurant has a spare employee looking at their phone rather than going into the kitchen area and helping to speed things up. It's very unprofessional just to be sitting there in a little glass booth playing on your phone while customers are waiting and waiting and waiting. It just doesn't look good. And then to not offer to help to speed things along just shows a complete lack of interest in your customers. We had plenty of time in that line to get frustrated, to be patient first, then get frustrated, watch this guy on his phone for a while, and eventually we went on the McDonald's corporate site and just entered a complaint about not just that the line was slow. If it were only that, I don't think we would have ever taken it very far. Yeah, lines are slow sometimes. Maybe they're short-staffed, maybe they're extremely busy inside. But it was just a bad situation that was not being handled and looking very unprofessional as they did it. So we entered a complaint politely, but still just explained our experience. And a few days later, we got a response from somebody that said, "Yeah, thanks for letting us know. We'll be addressing this." And that was the end of it. I have no idea whatever came of it. Doesn't matter. We just don't go to that restaurant anymore. That's our solution. And I think it should be most people's solution. If businesses lose customers because of bad service, they either go out of business or they shape up. But it seems like the entire industry has slowed down. Another fast food restaurant in the area we live always had terrible service. I had it 15 years ago when I used to visit this area to spend some weekends with a friend. We went there a lot, and they were always slow. We complained about it frequently amongst ourselves. Then he moved away, didn't go there anymore. Now, a few years later, a few years ago, my family moved here, and we go to that restaurant. Or we did. And it was always slow. I said, "Man, nothing's changed in 15 years. And then they closed. And that restaurant sat empty for most of a year, maybe more. And then we started seeing fresh paint and a new sign and then they repaved the parking lot and they reopened it not long ago. And it's still kind of pathetic most of the time. I don't know how long it'll last this time, but they just aren't getting my business. Anyway, I'd love to hear from somebody who's actually worked in fast food. Whether it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or in the last 5 years. And talk about your experience and where is the emphasis from your bosses? What does management actually push for? Is it get the order right? Is it customer service? Is it actually being fast and timely? What happened? I don't know, because I don't have eyes inside that industry. I only see it as a customer, and it's just not what I remember it being. There might be those who are like, you're just an old fuddy-duddy who just has memories of when I was a kid, it used to be great. Maybe. But I kind of thought the world was supposed to grow and improve, and it seems like there are areas of our world where progress feels more like backsliding. Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts on this. When did fast food stop being fast? What happened? Please share in your comments, like and subscribe if you like to be part of videos like this. Thank you.